What's up, guys? Ryan here. Good to see you guys. And man, I am hanging out with Heath, Hicks, and Ronnie Lawler, and he's amazing office. So I had a look at all of his art and incredible artifacts from all around the world and his experiences. I'm sure you have a story for every one of them.
Yeah.
Heath is legitimately the most interesting person in roofing. So if you do not know that, you absolutely follow up and try to spend an hour with this guy at a convention, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So hey, thanks for hanging out with me, guys.
Yeah, thanks
for having
us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Excited.
Where are we? What part of the world are we in?
Tyler, Texas.
Yeah.
Home base.
Been here for a long time.
I've been here almost 25 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Crazy to think.
Same.
That's insane. It's wild. It's good.
Yeah.
Just I like it out here because it's not DFW at all. Like DFW is just like a full on. It's an hour and a half. So it's not too bad. But then you're driving through all this past Buc-ee's, and then you finally get to this like, oh, it's actually a lot more here than you think.
Right.
And it's got like it's its own. It's a great town. It's great. So man, we've known each other for a while now. I think it's been like 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
So if you guys just don't know AVCO Roofing, we'll get to know them a little bit more. But I actually would say that when we started getting into more of the residential world, you guys brought us in for commercial training. I remember bringing working with one of your commercial leads and with their sales team. Then I had the privilege of you're the first residential team I trained with you guys collaboratively. There was like 30 people in the room, and it was really fun experience.
It was really fun.
And I've always just been drawn to you guys' culture and the fun that you guys have here. And so if you guys don't know, I think AVCO has one of the coolest cultures and brands in the industry. So you guys need to be following them. So tune in. Don't check out this episode. There's gonna be a lot of value here. So let's start with this. Who's Heath and Ronnie? Give us a little background on who you guys are, a little bit of life experiences, and kind of how you got into this beautiful world of roofing. Hey, what's up, guys? I hope you are loving this episode. Hey, if you're a contractor looking to scale and grow your business through sales leadership training and sales coaching and training for your team, then look no further. All you got to do is text us at 945-800-4220. 945-800-4220. Okay? Or just go to our website, sellonstg.com. Again, if you're a contractor and you want to grow your sales leadership training skills, your sales coaching skills, and you want to grow and help your sales reps get better, we can help commercial companies. We help residential companies. No matter what trade you're in, you just want to transform your business, okay? Come to STG. We hope to see you there. Hey, now back to the episode.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So Ronnie Lawler, been married to my beautiful wife in, 5 days for 19 years. Yeah, happily married. So we got 3 boys as well. So 17, almost 18-year-old, which that part is what kind of blows me away more than anything else. I mean, you remember holding him when he was a baby. I mean, we've known each other for 22 years now. And I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old as well. And so, just love being a dad, love being a husband. Big part of my life, biggest and most important part of my life. Yep. And then, been in the roofing space now. I think this is year 18. Been in sales since I was 11. Just really enjoy getting to help people. Been here with Heath for the whole time that he's owned AVCO, which is in October, that'll be 10 years. It's
crazy to think about.
Yeah, so pretty nuts, and it's been a lot of fun getting to work with, one of your closest friends for a number of years. And it's been a blast.
Yeah, totally. Awesome, man. You're a great dad and husband too.
I appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. Heath?
Yeah, Heath Hicks. Been here in Texas about 25 years. Moved here to work at a ministry a long time ago. That's where I met Ronnie at.
Yep.
And started AVCO or bought AVCO almost 10 years ago now. Right. Been in roofing for, it's more than 15 years now. 16 or 17 years. Been in roofing. Started out as a sales guy here in Tyler. Did that for 7 years. And then, bought this company, and it's kind of exploded in good ways and hard ways over the last 10 years. We've had some good propelling forward explosions, and we've had some implosions, and lots of milestones during this journey for sure. But at the end of the day, it's been really fun because we get to work with people, and that's Ronnie and I's driver, really, to be with people. So I got 2 boys, Atlas and Phoenix. They're 7 and 11, and they're definitely the favorite parts of my life. They're great little dudes.
Yeah, they're awesome dudes. And so tell me about like the AVCO Roofing when you bought it. What was the growth trajectory was pretty crazy, like the explosion. You have kind of stabilized, who you guys are in terms of revenue and growth. But you guys went. And then before you answer that, tell me more how long you guys have been friends and what kind of work did you guys do together before now building AVCO, and then talk about the AVCO story a little bit.
Yeah, we've met at Teen Mania Ministries, which no longer exists now. And so we met there, almost 25 years ago now, 23, 24 years ago, something like that. Whenever I left working at that ministry, we moved into a house here in Tyler, and we called it the Mantastic Mansion.
Mantastic Mansion.
Was 10 of us dudes living in a 5-bedroom house, so we all had roommates. So it didn't cost us anything. Thankfully, for
my rent and bills included was $210 a month.
Yeah,
that's where I paid.
Oh, that's where you.
Yeah, he has a basement room, so because he was still on the road.
Yeah, I was there. I was gone most of the time, but it was $210 a month to live in that house, man.
Yeah,
couldn't get a better deal.
All in cost. Yeah, so that was it was a lot of fun. It's crazy times. We would have salsa parties, not like chips and salsa, but like salsa dancing.
Yeah,
we'd have swing dancing parties. So we'd have a Bible study, and then after the Bible study, we'd have 50 to 70 people come and hang out with us, and we'd take all of our furniture, either put it out on the front lawn, or
we did the Jesus part in the mornings, and we hung out with the ladies in the afternoons. Right?
That's true.
Since you're all here,
yeah. Which that's kind of how I met my wife, and so
exactly how you met that. That's what happened.
10 single dudes are all looking for somebody, right?
Yes.
In the most honorable of ways.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So I'm Joe the accountable for that.
For sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. So what kind of work were you guys doing? Like, I mean, I know it was a ministry, but you guys were like builders of like movement, like a movement. You guys are doing some heavy lifting. Like, what was that like?
I worked for the segment of the ministry called Acquire the Fire, which did the large conferences. Every weekend around the country, we'd have a huge conference with 10,000 to 50,000 kids in an arena with a bunch of bands and music, and I worked in that. And then after that, worked in the film and television side. And then my career kind of went off in that direction, but I still lived here. And yeah, Ronnie, what were you up to during that season?
Yeah, at Teen Mania, I worked in the call center for Acquire the Fire. So I called youth pastors to invite them and even like mentor them over the phone when you're 20 years old. Should have been really probably mentoring many people, but that was kind of the gig. And then I worked into a core advisor role, which was I was a mentor over 12 younger guys than me. So I did that. And then, whenever I moved to Tyler, I got into construction, third generation contractor.
Had a landscaping business.
Sprinklers. A little bit of everything. Fitness over the years I've done. I was a personal trainer and CrossFit coach at a couple different times. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, just calling youth pastors, getting fired up, it's sales, right?
Yep, sales.
Definitely.
Totally.
And then so you guys, so tell me about the birth of the purchase of AVCO, and then like kind of the timing of of Ronnie coming in. How'd that go?
Well, when we were living, we lived in a house for a number of years together.
Yeah.
We planted a church out of the Bible study that grew out of that, and then we all kind of got married and moved out, but still lived here in Tyler. And during that season, he got into roofing sales for a local company here. And probably did that, I want to say maybe like 6 months or something. Yeah. And then I was in between jobs at the time because that was kind of when the market fell in 2008, 2009. And so
out of the film.
Yes, I did. And
so you were in between jobs.
I would have had to move to LA or New York to stay in that. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that. So I stayed here. And right at this time I was in between jobs, Ronnie was like, hey, come sell roofs. And I was like, all right. And so then I took the job and started it. And then shortly after Ronnie moved, he moved to Colorado to do stuff with his family up there. And so I stayed in roofing sales at that company for like 5 years, at that one company here in town. And kind of moved around a little bit, trying to find something else to do. And found my way to AVCO because the owner had kind of headhunted me pretty hard. And he ended up dying right after we had agreed that I was going to come work there. And when he was talking to me that last time, because he talked to me a bunch of times. But that owner and the owner of the company I was working for were kind of like bitter enemies. They had been really close personal friends and worked in the same roofing company, and then kind of branched out, and they were like big enemies. And so I didn't really want
this industry.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel like there's a certain recipe, or you just throw in your friends and then it just explodes. Yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen that before.
So anyways, these two guys worked at the same roofing company, and then one jumped out, and then the other jumped out, and then I don't know the whole story, but so when this guy was headhunting me, I was a little bit uncomfortable because I wasn't trying to like screw over my other boss or whatever, but we had kind of drifted apart and weren't really getting along, and this guy just had such a great offer. But really what happened was we went to lunch, and he said, he was older. He's like, I think he was about 60. And he said, listen, I really want somebody here that can run this company if something happens to me, because it still supports my daughter. Because he had a daughter very late in life, like I think in his 50s, he had a daughter.
Wow.
And so he was like, I really just want this thing to be stabilized if something happens to me. And I was like, it kind of tugged on my heartstrings, and I was like, okay, I can help with that. And a week and a half later, he died out of the blue.
Sheesh.
And I was like, oh man, it hit me really hard, because like, I just knew that's what I was supposed to do. And so what was going to be like a slow transition over several months, I just jumped and just went over there and tried to keep it open. And his wife was working in was not working in the company, didn't really know anything about the company. And so a couple of us, there was only 3 of us there at that time, and we all kind of banded together to keep it open. It was pretty small, but if it had just stopped, he would have been in debt, and she would have carried the debt forward and stuff. So we all kind of banded together, and that had its own layers of drama that unfolded with everybody wanting the company.
Okay.
And I didn't even want the company. I was just trying to work there. I was just about to have a kid. I was just trying to sell as much stuff as I could sell and get myself in a good financial position. And then the wife approached me, the widow. She asked, hey, do you want to buy this? Because I really need to sell. It's been like a year and a half. She's like, I really need to sell this and get rid of this thing, because I can't run it or keep anybody accountable or do any of that stuff. And so I ended up buying it from her. And at the time, I was the only salesperson, and so it was about $1 million a year. Just my sales. They had a repair division too, but anyways, so I ended up buying it from her and meeting with the Small Business Development Council here to try to make a business plan, because I didn't know anything about that. All I knew was how to sell stuff. And we had a goal of growing from 1 million to 5 million over 5 years. So incremental growth to get, that was my thing. And they were like, that's crazy. There's no way you could grow to 5 million over 5 years. Well, and I'm like, well, I think I could. I mean, all I got to do is get some more salespeople. I don't think that'd be that hard. So then I kind of opened the doors to my friends. Most of them I knew from the ministry that we worked out. Some of them I knew from here in town. And at the end of that first year, we had 7 or 8 sales guys, 7 sales guys at the end of the first year. And we did 5 million in a year. And we were like, yeah, I mean, it was huge, like totally exploded. Really super fun, lots of adventure, trying to figure out how to keep up with everything. And looking back at the ways we managed that business when it was exploding so fast, we didn't know what to do. We used to have we had rolling whiteboards. Like if you imagine a really big whiteboard, we built these frames for them, and they were double-sided because we had so many jobs and so many things happening. One whiteboard wouldn't cut it, but there wasn't enough wall space. So we built these frames that had they were 4x8 sheets.
Like the shower glass, shower panels.
Yeah, like shower siding panels or whatever. But it was like 4x8 or 4x10 even. They were massive. Right. And so we drew the schedules and crews and stuff out on these boards, and we would roll them in and out of the office. There wasn't anywhere to keep them. We would literally roll them into the warehouse until we needed to do our meetings. Then we would roll them in, and they were all, dry erase markers. And basically, because then everybody started fighting over who was going to get to install their roofs, because, you're not making money if you're not installing. You can sell all you want, but if it doesn't get billed, you don't get paid, you're not going to make any money. And so then people started arguing. So then we came up with this system where whoever signed the most contracts that last week got to pick first on the schedule. It would literally make everyone line up. And you had to have your contracts in your hand. If you had the most contracts, then you got to be first in line. So you got first pick, and then you went back to the back of the line.
Yeah, it was just you just rotate until you ran out of contracts.
Yeah.
So some people would have, 3 to 5 contracts for that week or whatever, so they get to go back in the line multiple times. And then there's a bunch of trash talk at that point in time going on. It's like, oh, you're already out? What do you mean you're already out?
We're trying to referee guys. Like, it's all right. Let's stay positive, because everybody wanted to get their jobs built, and we were scrambling to keep up with the flow. Right. Because the next year we went to 10 million.
Yeah.
So then we doubled again, and we're like, dude,
Which we had moved away from the whiteboards. By the time we got to 10 million, we were off the whiteboard.
at that time. It was about that time. It took us a long time because to get into a CRM, I mean, that's so much work.
Right.
So much work to start one up, especially back then. They didn't have any tools to help you.
Yeah.
You were just manually inputting everything. And so, yeah, it was really tough. So we did 5 million, we did 10 million, then we did 20 million. And then our lives were exploding. Not in the great way. Just everyone was overwhelmed. Everyone was stressed. Everybody wanted to quit inside the office. The sales guys are like, they're super pumped until their check's not there because we can't keep up with it. We literally couldn't even write checks fast enough. Literally, we couldn't process everyone's jobs in time to get them all closed up by Friday to write the checks because there was just so much stuff happening. And so
breaking all the systems.
And all the people in the office, all wanted to quit.
Yeah.
It was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so then we were like, all right, put the brakes on. We're not hiring more people. We're going to do more training. We're going to slow everybody down.
Right.
Just slow down. But of course, sales guys don't want to slow down.
Right.
That's the last thing they want to do. And so then the next year, we still went up to 25 million, even with trying to slow everything down.
Right.
And like,
we're like, we're not going to double this year. But we're just going to increase by 50%. That's all.
yeah, it was super tough in a lot of ways. It was really fun in a lot of ways too, but man, completely overwhelming. I mean, those 3 years I worked, 80, 100 hours a week, every week, just nonstop the whole time.
Yeah.
Wow. And so going back when you started and that happened with the old owner, you took over the company. When did you come back from Colorado and start working?
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
In a month, I think.
No, I mean, you had talked to me actually, like I was actually working for that company that he and I had worked for him previously for when Heath alluded to, where I had asked him to come after I'd been doing it for 6 months. So when I moved back, because I moved to plant a church and I sold roofs up there for a little bit and did personal training and stuff. Whenever I moved back to Texas, I had been here for a few years at that point in time. And then whenever I got back to East Texas, I just called that other owner at that roofing company back up. He was like, yeah. And so like the day after I got back in town, I started selling roofs again up in Dallas. And then I was there for a couple of years or something like that. And then,
well, let's rewind. He was like, I don't know if I can jump in with you because you're like not off the ground yet. Like, I want to, but like I gotta.
That's true.
He hesitated for a while.
Well, we literally had 6 conversations. I remember.
Yeah.
We had 6 times where we went out to lunch.
Yeah, I was trying so hard to like get him to come with me.
So yeah, so eventually I was like, all right, yeah, it's worth the gamble. It's somebody I care about, love, and like I think it'd be kind of fun to build something together, And so at that point in time, like I came in and then we started hiring some of our friends at that point in time.
Yeah,
so it was like right after we bought it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, within a month I would say.
Yeah.
Wow. There. Awesome. And so from there, you guys have been kind of running together for this whole time. So I know you've had other leaders and you built teams, but you guys have been kind of the primary core of the leaders. Yeah. And so you guys have a shared mission, and I want to read it off. It's basically, helping people be successful, right? So tell us more about that. Like, I would imagine you guys working in ministry together. There's a lot of, that altruistic, messaging, and it's probably in you to a degree where you're used to seeing that being fruitful and rewarding, and so that's really, it started from a bit of that, and then so just tell me how that's kind of come together. You guys are so driven by that, and how what that looks like here, and tell us more about it.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we both are just kind of coaches by nature. It's just kind of in our DNA. It's not really like we've got to be like, all right, like we got to go out and like interact with people and care about people, and like that's how we're going to grow our business. It's not from that kind of a perspective.
You are.
Yeah, it's just who we are. We're not like the roofing space has been great to us. Like we love the roofing space because the opportunity that it affords, but neither one of us give a rip about, shingles or anything like that. I'm not like super passionate about, roofing products. Like roofing products by themselves is not changing anybody's life, but the opportunity that it's presented to so many different people is a beautiful thing, really. Like I didn't know about it, like it was a kind of a hidden secret. And so I'll speak for myself, like it's just a big part of coming to work every single day is to be a blessing to the people that we get to interact with, whether that's our crews, whether it's our vendors, our employees, our sales team, production, like whatever it might be, that we have the opportunity to help, spend time with them, get to know them on a personal level, see what makes them tick, like what do you really want out of life, and how can we possibly work, together to help you be able to achieve those goals. And so that's been an amazing part of the journey, is seeing and hearing guys talk about, like I bought my first house, like, or we went on vacation, or I paid off debt. Like that means way more to me than any amount of like, oh, we did 31 million 1 year in revenue. Like that's cool. But, seeing that moment in that person's life where they, are, getting to carry their bride across the threshold at their first house, like that's way cooler in my opinion.
Totally. Yeah, I think, coming out of our church backgrounds, we definitely both had this idea to serve,
right.
Serve people and help people. And so I am driven by watching people step into new experiences, new skills, new talents, new experiences, breaking new ground in their life, really drives me. And so like I did a triathlon a few years ago, didn't do super well, but I finished it. But at the end of the day, I would rather be on a team that finished like 10th place to have that camaraderie and help people than be the guy that did really well on my own. I was just not really wired that way. I'd rather be helping people succeed. And so in the beginning, we were both driven by helping the people that we knew and loved already,
right?
The friends and families that we'd already known for years, driven to help them succeed. Because in this small town, in this small market, especially in 2009, 2010, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to make good money. And so seeing people to be able to have those experiences like was so cool, because a lot of them we'd known for years before we got there.
Right.
And so to see them move out of an apartment into a house, like, was just so cool.
Right.
And we celebrated that stuff much more than we ever celebrated hitting 1 million or 5 million or 10 million. And he can tell you most of the year anniversaries that have passed on our company, we don't even realize until it's gone.
Right.
That we forgot to celebrate our 5th anniversary or getting to 10 million or 20 million or 100. I mean, we passed 100 million, 150 million probably at this point. And we've never really celebrated those things. But when somebody gets a house or gets their first truck or is able to adopt a kid into their family or whatever, we freaking, blow the place up because we're so pumped about that. And so that's what really drives us. And I think that's what draws people in here too, is they realize this is a bunch of people all trying to move their life forward. This is the vehicle they're using right now, but it's not about roofing at all.
Right.
And even when we're in roofing, it's primarily still about relationship. Whether it's relationship with our customers, relationship with the vendors, relationship inside the building here, it's still really relationship that's driving everything. Right. And so, that set us apart a lot, especially in this town at that point, at that moment. In roofing, there just wasn't anyone like that, really.
Dude, that'd set you apart anywhere. I mean, you guys do it, no matter even in a small town like this. Helping. You guys are really good at that, and you help people win. I'm hearing like you help people win and you help people grow.
Yeah,
I mean, you're doing it differently, but it's like but it's like get out of your comfort zone and grow, and you're like let's succeed, and let's achieve what you're dreaming for your family. I love that, and I'll say this about relationship. You guys live that out, so you guys care about the relationship. Number one, we've known each other a long time, and you've always cared more about the person than the problem itself, and you work through it with care, and you guys do a great job. And so you already know that, but
appreciate that.
I want you to know that.
Thanks.
So I think that I want to talk about. You guys have kind of been in the bucket, not necessarily, but you're in a market where there's weather and hail, so there's a lot of storm related sales volume. So you're there's a lot of companies that are like you, but you guys are also not like a lot of companies, I think. So you guys care about people, relationship, growth. You've talked a lot about that, but you also think differently in how you approach your business. So what are some core beliefs and thoughts that are very different that you guys hold dear and you've seen bear fruit over your tenure here, that you just know is very different and rare amongst other companies? And like that are door knocking companies or that are insurance based companies. I'd love to hear what you guys think is that you guys believe and hold dear. That's important to you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll defer you. Start out.
So we've come up with core values a number of times throughout the history of the company because we're 10 years in. And so your core values are going to shift and change a little bit over time just because the company grows and changes. And so, but the one thing that's always been in there that has always also been difficult to put into words that you can fit on a banner and call a core value, honestly, is love. We love each other. We love our customers. And we want to only really be doing business with people that we can also love. So even if you look at our vendor relationships, there's a company or two that we've done business over the years and still doing now. And the main reason we're with that company is because there's a person there that we have an anchor relationship that we really care about. And so when we're buying shingles from this company, we're really buying shingles from that guy.
Right.
Wow.
Because we love that guy. And so, or that gal or whatever, but it's the love is the driver for a lot of it. When we're hiring people, like when we're doing an interview, I can see it in him when he does it. And he's watched me do it 100 times. You know, some person will come and sit and they'll do an interview and we don't really connect.
Right.
And they're fully qualified probably. And then the next person comes in and maybe they don't have as much experience, but we really connect. And you can see that they're hungry and you can see they want to grow and you can see they want something in their life. Then we pick that person basically every time.
Right.
Every time. Now, unless they're in finance. You've got to be fully qualified in there. We figured that out the hard way.
Yeah, that's important.
We figured that out the hard way. So, but yeah, we're really driven by love, just individually, him and I individually, and then together and as a company, you know, when we go out, like when I was out door knocking, a lot of this got built on what I learned about how to sell roofs because I did it for like 7 years straight. And when I really got excited about my job as a sales guy, it's because I realized I could really help people. I could really help them offset a major expense in their life that was coming and invest in their most valuable asset. And I could really help influence or guide or shepherd them through a process in which they could easily be taken advantage of, either by another company or the insurance company or whoever it might be, that I could really help make a significant difference in their life. And that's why I knock doors. That's why knocking doors is not hard for me at all. 0% hard for me because I'm bringing something to them that I know is really valuable.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you, there's people that are kind of pricks. When you start to deal with them, you knock on a door, or you get to them, they're kind of a prick. And my desire to help them disappears. And then that's the person I don't follow up with. That's not the person I want to work with. I don't care if there's money on the other side of it. I don't want to be around that person. They're just not a great person for me to be around. And so we started early teaching our guys, just cut those people out. Yeah. Because, you know, with another company, that might be a perfect match and they might totally get along. It's not about this person being a bad person.
Right.
It's just, they just don't click with me. They don't mesh. We're not thinking the same way. We don't look at life the same way. And so if we do business together, there's going to be conflict and we're probably going to lose some money and they're going to gripe and complain about this. And then we're going to get a bad review or whatever it might be.
Right.
I don't want to go through those experiences, but because my driver really is relationship, if there's not relationship there, it's not hard for me to walk away from those customers and then walk towards the ones that are going to fit really well.
Right.
And so, I'm just giving that point to say love really drives a lot of it. And when there's a lack of it, we kind of don't buy your shingles anymore, or we kind of don't want to put your roof on, you know, or we kind of don't want to use your company to clean our building, you know, because we want to have people around that we can be in a relationship with. And it's not always the smartest business advice. I'll tell you that 100%.
Yeah.
But I would rather enjoy my day than make money all day. Personally.
And not be enjoyment, not enjoy.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, to piggyback off of that also it's a divider. It separates the people that don't want to be part of something like that. Like, you know, if they're not interested in, you know, if they're just interested in making money, like, and that's their primary motivator, they're going to hate it being here. And we've seen that. People that, you know, like they're like, how is this even a core value? Like, why, like love does not need to be, because we did have it actually for a little while. It's one of our ones that we had. And, you know, some people were just really bent out of shape about that should not be a business core value. And so for some people, like, you know, that was a big divider. And so for us, like we want to partner with people that are like-minded, that are also hard as well. Not just, you know, all about making money. The relationship side of things for us is, you know, kind of paramount. And honestly, if you look at the statistics nowadays, most people, the primary reason why they leave a job has nothing to do with money. It's like number 9 or number 10 on the list of why they left that opportunity. It's they didn't feel valued. They didn't feel appreciated, or they didn't see how they could fit and grow and change and develop as a person over time at a company. Like there's multiple things that has nothing to do to monetary side of things. And so I think that, like we have to be careful as leaders, owners, whatever your role is, to not really miss the boat there, and to be like, well, if I paid the sales guys more than this company does, then we'll just naturally recruit them. Well, if they really love it over there, they're probably actually not leaving. Right. They're not coming to you, and now you're just cutting into your profitability because you're fixating on the wrong things.
Yeah,
that's so good. I just was thinking about something real quick, and I think you have a thought here. I want to hear it. I was talking to this owner of a window company. They do like 32 million, really great company down in Houston. And he's like, yeah, so we have a 30-something% helping percentage, not a closing percentage. I was like, whoa, bro. I mean, I'm like, I've never heard that. Yeah. He goes, yeah, we don't have closers, we have helpers. Awesome. We believe that's what sales is helping people. And I was like, man, that's good.
That's a good perspective. I like that.
I love that. Yeah. So I thought that was really powerful. And then I was just getting this image of like, when you guys seen Monsters Inc., we all have kids, right? Yeah. So you know how they go from fear to joy, and how the power was higher. Yeah.
Dude, that's exactly what it has felt like for us.
Right. It's like I'm like picking up on this, like if I don't knock doors, I won't make money. If I don't make money, and it's like versus you're like, no, my motivation, my power source is helping, and so you're like I could just overcome anything. That's kind of what I'm. I just thought that when I was hearing you talk.
100%. When I knock doors, I was trained a long time ago. Luckily, I got a really good perspective on knocking doors. It goes all the way back to the Haight brothers, way back in storming. And one of them trained a guy that I was working with, and he said the biggest thing that, the most notable thing he ever told him was that I'm just out here to meet people and make friends. That's what I'm out here in the neighborhood to do today. I'm not here to knock doors and close deals. I'm here to meet people and make friends.
Yeah.
And that to me is so beautiful because it aligns with me really well.
Yeah.
Right.
Number one. And number two, the confounding part in the sales system is that it also works better. Yeah. But it doesn't have the same driver.
Right.
Right. And so I can't create that feeling in someone if they don't have it all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can put pressure on a sales guy to go make money. I can remind him he doesn't have enough and that he needs more and his kids are going to be poor, whatever you want to do to like make them want to make money, right?
Yeah.
We can repackage it on the other side is really positive. What are your biggest dreams and goals and aspirations? Right, But on the other side of this aspiration of the house or the boat is the lack of the house and the boat or the money you need to get there.
Yeah.
But so it's all similar from the same source. But this one over here, to just create a relationship and be a natural version of yourself, you don't have to inspire somebody to do that. If you can just tell them it's okay to do that, they normally go, I can just knock doors and just say hi to people. I'm like, yeah. You don't even have to ask them about the roof if you don't want to. Ask the old lady if you can move the stuff from her garage,
right?
In her car into the garage for her.
Yeah, clean her gutters or whatever.
Yeah, just make relationships. That's what's ultimately going to sell stuff. And so being able to live that out naturally has made our company pretty different, and Ronnie and I are pretty good at embodying that. But
yeah, and it takes the pressure off of, especially, if our guys are knocking in Dallas in a, super saturated market or whatever. And, every time you're going out knocking, you're thinking that, oh my gosh, if I don't close a deal right now, like I'm going to, go, not gonna be able to pay the bills. My wife's going to leave me, like all these crazy thoughts that might go through your mind. And instead it takes that pressure off of like, I'm just there to meet people. Do they have a need? And can I fill that need? That's all you really need to kind of think about it in that kind of context. It takes that weight off of you, takes it to where instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, it feels like a million pounds, it's like I actually am out there with the intention of helping somebody at this point in time. If they're frustrated because you knocked on their door, the reality is that they don't know you, don't know why you knocked on their door, and don't know anything about their company. Now it's your opportunity to now tell them why you're there. Mm-hmm. And, if your heart is in the right spot and you're there to, to help that individual, if I can be there, if they get mad at you, yell at you, cuss at you, I always had the mindset of, well, it's my job to let you know why I'm here. And if you still yell and cuss at me and I can't, overcome your objections, then it just means you're not my customer. And it's actually time for me to move on. And you're actually the one that's missing out because I'm actually here for your betterment, not necessarily just so I can make a paycheck.
Yeah.
All right. So good.
I want to contrast back to the point he was making about love being kind of a divider for people. Some people will see it and go, I don't need to work there. That's not the place for me. I don't understand them. I don't like it. I don't get it. And other people are like drawn right to it. And they're like, I don't necessarily have the right experience. I haven't necessarily even sold anything before, but I really feel connected to these guys and this vision. And I can see myself in that vision, and I can see that vision spilling into my life and creating growth and change. I want to be a part of that. It's the same with customers. If you got 3 bids from 3 price-driven companies, then at the end, your decision is probably going to be about price. Like if you get 3 pitches from 3 companies that are trying to have the best price, you get 1 or 2 bids from someone else that are just kind of not connected price-wise, or just more expensive, but they haven't built relationship, haven't built value or whatever, and that's their choices. If that's the parameters they're looking at, they might pick on price. But if you can come in and bring in relationship and care and love and a perspective that you really want to help them through this process, deliver them an experience and the quality of a product that they're not going to get from anyone else, then price, like he said, people don't leave jobs because of money most of the time. It's the same thing. They're not going to pick the bid based on money most of the time if they've got good options.
Right.
But we've been coming from the bottom of the barrel perspective, the scarcity mindset, the bid system of home services has been coming from there for so long that oftentimes the customer only gets 3 people like that.
Right.
So then they do kind of make price the decision. And because they've only ever experienced that when they're on the phone, they're talking about price being their decision, but it's just not true.
Right.
Yeah.
They want somebody who's going to take care of their stuff and be nice to their kids and make sure their dog doesn't get a nail in its foot and does some extra stuff and meets the neighbors. And they would rather buy a roof from somebody that could come to a barbecue at their house and pay $1,000 more than go with that company that they didn't like but was the cheapest or whatever. Right. And so it's not a divider in that sense. It's a differentiator.
Yeah.
And people will oftentimes pick the person that they know, like, and trust over the person who has the better price.
Yeah.
The significant majority of the time.
Right.
But companies in our space and in home services in general have just been kind of afraid to put that forward because we thought it was about business. We thought it was about the technical prowess of putting on the siding or putting on the shingles or the guarantees behind it or the brand of shingles you're putting on. And it's just not really that for most customers. Most customers don't know anything about that and honestly don't even care about most of that stuff. And so if you come in and you're the person that loves them and cares for them and you're a good dude, a part of a good company, yeah, they're probably going to want to go with you.
Love that.
Well, and it's impactful because he and I mean, you've not a pipeline in how long?
Oh,
8, 9 years, something like that. I've not had a pipeline in the last, 5 years, something like that.
Until he gets to ish, he's lying a little bit.
That's true.
He's totally lying to you right now. He's trying to tell you he hasn't sold anything in like 5 years.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But about
fine.
every 2 years,
I went out sold like crazy last year, actually.
every 2 years he goes, I gotta go sell some stuff, I gotta go sell some stuff. I'm like, all right, but
True.
go out with you, we'll take care of it all.
Yes, I did that last year for sure. Went pretty hard right after after work, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like selling stuff, but I don't even know where I was going with that now. But
didn't mean to interrupt you.
All right, so let me go into this then. So I want to talk about the technical side of the sales team development. But before I do, I want to talk about marketing. So door knocking is a form of marketing. That's right. We're marketing.
I do.
But you guys also have embodied digital branding more so than the average, door knocking roofing company. Talk about that. So talk about the value, your thought process around marketing, how you've invested in it. I think the insurance laws and policies are shifting, which will require more brand, more trust, more confidence that the homeowner has in the company. They're spending more of their own money versus there's this shifting, right? And you guys have been doing this for a while. Talk about marketing and branding and how you guys think about it.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as, for us, lead acquisition costs when you're primarily door knocking. Number one is actually referrals for us. It has been for a number of years. So that's our number one. So that's something I think that should, can't ever be overstated enough, is the importance and the impact of referrals. But from the door knocking perspective, that's our primary new lead acquisition outside of referrals. But we also believe in other forms of marketing. Several of our guys are, fairly prevalent on social. We've got, our socials as well. We enjoy, getting out to be out with the community as well. We've donated, I don't even know how much money to
sponsors events, do charity drives, do all kinds of stuff to be involved.
Yeah. So we enjoy giving back to the community as well. I mean, both of us,
your brand.
yeah, both of us, have greatly benefited from our East Texas community, and we want to be able to give back to our East Texas community. It's really, really important for us. And so I think that, paying attention to not just being a one-trick pony, if you will, is really, really important. And there are things that are shifting, and people are very much heavily looking online nowadays. My wife, if you came and knocked on the door, she's not going to answer the door, to be clear. And she doesn't want to talk to a human being. There's a lot of people that are getting to be more and more like that. So you've got to do your best to be catchy, to get people's attention. And I think that it's really, really important to... We do, yeah. We're really big into doing a lot more like brand awareness campaigns, which are a little bit longer kind of LSA plays than necessarily putting a lot of meta ads and stuff like that.
For conversion as much as you are brand awareness, right?
Yeah.
What I'm hearing.
Yes, correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's less expensive. It's a little bit longer term, but it's less expensive. But yeah, I feel like there's always been this kind of tension or even tug of war or even criticism across the aisle of like door knockers versus, the marketing driven companies. And I don't see anything good or bad about either side.
Right.
They're either effective or not effective. That's all that really matters. There's no reason to add, good or bad or right or wrong to the discussion. It's what works. It doesn't.
What works. Do more of what works, less of what doesn't work.
And there's things that work on both sides of that fence. And there's still things that when you blend them together, you actually find some really powerful combinations that are better than they'll be individually on their own. Mm-hmm. If I had to start a company today in a new market on my own, 100% would be door knocking.
Yeah.
So if it was in a completely retail, like not store,
I would still door knock. I guarantee you I can sell. I could sell. Ronnie and I do. I don't care if you gave me a truck full of pink cowboy boots. I will knock doors and I will sell the cowboy boots because I will get right to the customer. I will build a relationship. I will be persuasive. I will get the sale. Yeah, I can do that.
Speed to lead in that case.
I understand that not everyone can do that.
Right.
We can teach you how to be able to do that in your company.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I started in a new market and he started as a digital focused company in the same market, I would way outpace him out of the gate. Could he overtake the market in 2 or 3 years? For sure, 100% he could. Right. Because I'm going to be limited by how many door knockers I have, how long they stay, how good they are. I totally get it. I'm not criticizing either side.
Right.
But I think the best perspective is how do I use all the strengths of all the different tools, especially when you combine them, you can get some outcomes you couldn't get from either one on their own. And so mixing them together, I think, is definitely the smartest way to do it because speed to lead is huge. We'll crush the market way faster than we can get to it. Whether it's a storm or whether it's a new market or whatever, we can just get there way faster.
It's so good. We said pink cowboy boots. I started like that song Pink Pony Club came to my head.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay. No, anyway, you guys have crushed some pink cowboy boots. No, that's a really good answer. I love that. So you just talked about like I can train salespeople to do that, right? Let's talk about that. I'm just going to go 3-headed monster here. You tackle them.
Sure.
How do you recruit salespeople? And I feel like you've alluded to some of that earlier in your core values discussion. How do you train salespeople? How do you then manage sales team leads? So kind of go like recruit, train, develop, manage, grow the sales team. It's a long answer, so take at it.
I'm going to add one thing in there. Between recruit and train, I'm going to pick hire.
Okay.
Select. It's pretty important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Good.
So you cover recruit, I'll say hire, and then you can do training.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, recruiting. I think that a lot of people are trying to find like, well, what's the new latest, greatest? Like, how many candidates can I get? And you really have to be pretty diverse here. You can't just have one ad running on Indeed or on ZipRecruiter and expect to get enough qualified candidates, no matter what market you're in. So I think you have to be pretty diverse here. So one of the things that we do is we actually offer, money for other people recruiting for us, right? Like if you get somebody from your personal network that comes and
guy's probably going to be a great person that would
right.
Somebody, right?
And we offer the same thing for all of our office staff too. Yeah. So I will pay you however much, per month in perpetuity as long as that person's still actively selling here. Yep. That's a great investment. Some of the other ones that have been helpful for us is also, the military. getting to where you're thinking through that opportunity. We have several guys that are military veterans that work for us, and we love to be a blessing to that community. So that's another one. You really need to be recruiting no matter what. So if you're a sales leader, an owner.
Conference last month, we were eating at a restaurant. There was this waiter who was really a dynamic and energetic, and you're like, this guy's waiting tables at this restaurant. Roofing's better.
Yep.
And so you went and talked to him. And
I did.
I don't know. Can you tell me what happened with that?
Yeah. So I went and I talked to him. He was a very dynamic personality, and all the other owners are sitting there and they're like, "Oh man, I'm gonna go recruit this guy." I'm like, "I'm going right now." First. So I immediately walked over there.
I'm gonna knock his door. I'm not gonna business card and let him call me later.
No, I went. I talked to him. Great guy. Got his phone number. I immediately sent him my information, and then the 2 days after that, he had a call with our salesman out of that office location to do a initial phone interview with him. So that's that.
I want to know where that went. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's so. My point is it's like marketing. It's not just one thing. It's multiple things, and then you're always doing it. It's like always recruiting, always spotting talent.
Sure.
Because you're, especially with how you guys are, and I'm similar how I recruit, is like, do you connect with them? Like, is there a connection? And when you have an opportunity to actually connect with somebody, you feel that, and you're like, wait a second, and then you dig in a little bit and you see it. There's something there.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. So recruit.
Yep.
Hire.
Yeah. All of those steps are super important. The hiring, I think, is one where we have really succeeded and really failed in different years.
Yes.
Because if you come at it from this mindset of, I don't have enough salespeople or I don't have enough revenue, then you start opening your gates of like who it is you're going to hire. Right? Start bringing in people that are not going to succeed. They're not going to help your company. They're going to give bad experiences outside the company and create bad experiences inside the company. And so 2 really important points for me, and I don't know how to put which one in front of the other, but individually about that person, the most important thing to me is that I can see that they're motivated. They have a high level of motivation, because that's something I can't give to somebody. I can't give them motivation. They either have it or they don't.
Batteries included.
Right. They got to have battery. Everybody has batteries included. Some are dead and some are broken, and some are like one battery instead of, they started with 4, now they got 1. I just beat them up real hard, or I just kind of limping along. But inside the company, I personally really want people that are motivated, because even if they're going in the wrong direction, I can steer them into the right direction. My pastor used to say growing up that it's really hard to steer a car that's not moving.
Right.
So he'd rather get in a car with somebody who was going the wrong way, because he's given to turn around and go the right way. He's not going to get into a car in the parking lot with somebody who's afraid to get going, because they're going to be there for 2 hours.
Right.
Just trying to get them to start. And so I want somebody who's highly motivated. And I can usually suss that out just based on what they've accomplished in their life before I even met them. Right. What have you already done? Right. Have you already been successful at something?
He was the biggest drug dealer in my town.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. We need to talk. We need to talk, right? Whether you were successful at high school sports or college sports or the military or a business venture that was whatever it is, I don't really care. Those people have figured out some recipe for success.
Right.
Even if it's not the same as mine, they've figured out a way to get there. Yeah. Then they can take the tools that we can give them and our experience, and they can multiply it. They'll grow faster in performance than we grew when we were doing it on our own without a good system around us. Right. So motivation is super important. Can't Right. Yeah. Can't overemphasize how important that is. And then the next for me after that is culture. Do they really fit here with us as a group of people? Mm-hmm. Not are they motivated? Not are they qualified? Not do I think do I think they'll do a good job? That is off the table at this point. Yeah. Will they fit here and add to us?
How can you see that? How can you determine that measure? Feel that?
I mean, I think, in your first several conversations, you should be able to just suss out pretty quick. They'll ask really good questions. They'll be like, wow, you guys do that? That's so cool. Right. Or they'll be like, oh, interesting. I'm kind of money driven. I'm really motivated by this. I need to have all these systems to track that. And I want a bunch of, contests. I want to be able to make $1 million. I want to work less than I ever worked before. You just hear it. They'll just go in one direction or another. And you can kind of feel it, whether they're going to be like you.
Laugh, are they
Right.
Are they wit? You guys have a lot of that here. It's like, is it?
There's lots
we
of
want to have a good time, right?
Yeah.
Like you spend so many hours at work in your lifetime. Like, why hate where you work and not enjoy the people you interact with on a daily basis?
Yeah. So, like, for example, and this is no criticism, I'm just bringing up this kind of company because it's somewhat prevalent, it's common. You know, you go to the trade show and you see the really jacked dudes, right? They're super jacked.
Yep.
Their clothes are super tight. They probably got some glitter on their jeans and a big watch. We won't look at my watch. They got a bigger watch and a big old truck or whatever. And, you know, they work out every morning at 4:30 and they just shred the gym or whatever it is, you know? I wouldn't fit in at that company. They probably wouldn't hire me.
Yeah.
They would probably be like, bro, okay, we did our interview. You want to come work out? No, I don't. Well, that's what we do here. Perfect. This is not the place I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm not a good salesperson. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't sell a lot of roofs. Doesn't mean I wouldn't leave a good experience. I just wouldn't fit in that team very well. Yeah. And if they came here, they also would not fit in very well. And that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with either one of those salesperson types or cultures at all. Some of the biggest companies in the industry right now are like personal fitness motivated. Like the core structures of those organizations are personal fitness trainers. Awesome. That's super great. It's just not the place where I'm going to excel and where I'm going to feel super connected.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I mean, they can outbench me and their companies might outsell me too. I don't care because I'm enjoying my ride, right? I'm where I'm at, where I want to be doing the thing I want to be doing. And so the people that fit here can be here. The people who don't fit here, you know, some people are super critical and kind of negative, and they find a way to make them successful. This is not going to fit here, you know. And maybe in their viewpoint at their company, they're data driven and not negative. You know, maybe they view it completely differently and their company works completely differently. Totally fine. Just not going to fit here. So are they motivated and will they fit? Because every person that I bring in that's not motivated or doesn't fit is going to drain the whole team. It's going to drain our resources, it's going to drain our time, it's going to drain our energy, it's going to create bad experiences internally and externally. And so hiring is super important. Don't open your gates too wide.
Yeah, I love it.
Hire 4 people that you really think are going to make it, and don't do 8 or 12 of whoever just said yes.
That's so cool. I think I'm just thinking self-reflection because, you know, Ronnie, you and I both place a value on fitness.
Right.
But we also place a value on these, and that's why we partner together and do things together. Because you can have a bit of both, and you can value health and, you know, things. But I think that there's definitely cultures where these things don't matter at all. Like love doesn't even
Right.
I don't care. Like, let's go.
Right.
Like, it's all about how much money I can make. If, you know, if I have another bicep vein next week or not, and if I'm winning and you're losing. Right? So I think that I'm just admiring your position, but I also think that even if it's not either or, I just want to say that because I don't think it's either or. But but I love the contrast you created because like you hold that dear, and I think that other person may be like, hey, we protect our fitness culture so much, or like we don't want somebody who's going to come in and like not represent the brand of us, and that's completely fine too.
Sure.
Protect that, right? Sure. So I think that's really good. Okay, so we talked about recruiting, we talked about selecting and hiring. Let's talk about now training and then managing the sales team. So you guys have like a sales team lead structure. You have different markets. You've gone into rural or more underserved markets, less saturated. Talk about training, and let's talk about sales team leads.
Yeah, as far as training goes, you know, this is one of the most important parts of your business. So if you don't get the guys started quickly, you know, we really try to get guys some kind of a contract within the first 2 weeks, if at all possible. If they generally get something within the first 2 weeks, the success rate goes up drastically than if somebody, it takes them 4 or 6 weeks before they sign their first deal. But yeah, we've got a rather elaborate onboarding and training process. That's part of the reason why we, wanted to kind of share some of the things we've learned over the years. And that's why we created the Roof Warrior Project with you guys through, Sales Transformation Group. But for us, yeah, the first 2 weeks and even like the first 90 days is pretty well spelled out for what the expectations are for them. So if you currently don't have a sales process, if you currently don't have a training platform that you're following, you're going to have a huge swing of people coming in and out of your doors year in, year out.
Yeah, they really need to know on the training side of things. They really need to know before they start learning, what is it that I need to learn to be independent? They need that framework, and then you need to walk through it step by step and know that everything that they're doing in that time frame is adding to one of these skills they're trying to acquire, because then they have a context to put it in. If they know why they're learning how to measure a roof, they'll pay a lot more attention than if you just tell them, here's how to measure a roof, right?
Right.
It's a small example, but in all of the steps of your sales process, it's the same way. A lot of sales guys will just focus on how do I convert and how do I get the signature? Well, there's a lot of other parts to it than that.
Right.
And if they don't see the whole framework of what it is they need to know to be an independent sales rep on their own, not having to be constantly managed and have phone calls every day to figure out how to get through this thing they don't know how to do. If they don't have that whole framework in front of them and know whatever it takes, then when you're training them, they can't really put it into the right slot because you're not paying as much attention. And so having that laid out is really important. It's also important for you to know what it is you're training and in what order you're training it. A lot of people don't even have that. They're just like, well, here's how I sell roofs. And then you're kind of talking about all these different, they're going in all these different directions in their timeline and what comes first and what comes last and what's important, and so you really need that framework. What it is I'm really trying to communicate to them over the first, most companies do like maybe 3 days of training, maybe 5 days of training, total. Even if it's that little, what is it you're really trying to get to them in that time frame? It's super important for you to know, or you can't really effectively deliver it. And then after that, how do they put it all into practice? Because once they learned it from you, they have to start practicing it. And how much oversight are you with them all day, every day? Are you with them in the mornings and then check them in the afternoons? Are they fully independent? There's a lot of different ways to do it. But, for us, we've come up with a system where essentially for the first 90 days, every minute of their day is accounted for already. On day one, they know what the next 90 days are going to look like in order to be successful inside, the roof warrior system. And because we have that so lined out, the sales leaders before they even hire someone, they have a much better perspective on what it is they need to look for in hiring someone, because now they know exactly what it is they have to be able to do in order to be successful, which is much more than just, are they a good talker and can they keep people's attention long enough to sign a contract? There's so much more to it than that.
Great.
But if you don't see that clearly, then you're not going to be able to communicate it clearly, and you're not going to hire based on that. And so really having that all nailed down is super important to training. You really have to have a plan.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching and you're in roofing and you have your residential roofing company, we have partnered on a sales training course and coaching program called Roof Warrior. So it's specifically built for companies who want to build and train the best residential roofing sales team they can. So we've done it. We've had several dozens of companies go through it, hundreds of salespeople go through it, and it's amazing. Super thorough. We go down to, like, if you don't know anything about roofing, someone's a barista and they have what it takes, and you want them to come in, they're going to learn how to sell a roof, and they're going to do it professionally. So if you guys have not checked this out, go to selloncg.com or roofwarrior.com actually as well, and you can inquire and we can demo and talk about what it all looks like. So now let's talk a little bit more, speeding up into like how you guys have built your sales teams and managing the teams. So talk to us about structure, tech platform, and how you manage them. Let's just say they're up and running, right? Now if you have 50 salespeople reporting to you, like, that doesn't work. Right? So what do we do about that?
Yeah, so every salesperson reports to a sales manager first and foremost. They have weekly one-on-ones. We have group sales meetings once a week because we have multiple different locations. So we want to make sure that we're able to connect on that level on a weekly basis as well. But yeah, every single salesperson reports to a sales manager for what's going on in their current pipeline, where they're at, and that way they're also continuing to build that relationship like we talked about earlier on. Are they stuck in an area? Is there something that they need breakthrough in? Is there something going on in their personal life that's going to affect them, currently and or in the future? So making sure they understand that. So, and then the sales managers have a director of sales that they report to as well. And then the director of sales reports up to me. So
awesome. What tech platforms are you using to manage what the sales team's doing in their pipeline and to run those team meetings better with and have one-on-ones? What are you doing for that? And then how do you determine when somebody is ready to be a sales manager, and when has it gone wrong? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so our CRM is Job Nimbus. So we utilize Job Nimbus, and then we utilize Sales Rabbit together in the one-on-ones. That way we can really dissect their activity and their pipeline, right? Because we need to see if their current pipeline's not where it's at, then where's our activity at? What's going on? How many decision maker interactions are we having? Are we doing anything additional to that? Are we doing networking groups or lunch and learns for realtors or insurance agents or anything along those lines to diversify your touch points with other folks?
Yeah.
And so really kind of looking at their CRM and Sales Rabbit, we can be able to pull a lot of data from that and not make it to where it's less about an emotional conversation of like, hey Bobby, why are you sucking at your job? Like we all got coached quote unquote that way before, instead of having an actual caring conversation of like, well, at the beginning of the year you told me you wanted to make X because X was going to help you buy your first home or pay off debt or whatever, and emotionally that made you say that you felt like it was going to be the first time you were a provider for your household and all these other things. If those things are still true, then what do we need to do to get back on pace?
Good.
Right? Instead of be like, I need you to sell this much because I'm not going to bonus this quarter because you didn't sell enough, and I'm needing to buy my third boat this year, They don't care about those kind of things as a salesperson. It's our job as leaders to meet them with where they're at and come to them a lot more than it is for us as owners, leaders, whatever your role is, to be like, well, they need to come to me and they need to meet me where I'm at. Like, no, we need to be able to show that care, concern, love for them as people. And then over time, as they see that, they're like, wow, they really do care about me. And they kind of start to let their guard down and kind of let you in. And then you can actually have some really, really great conversations that lead to all different places.
Yeah, it's really good. Love that. So when you guys have brought on the sales managers, how do you know, like, do you make that sales guy a sales manager? Have you done that? Has that not worked? Do you look for any particular type of traits to say you're going to be a great sales manager? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, not generally the best sales guy. Most of the time, the best sales guy is usually the best sales guy for a reason. He's really worried about what he wants to worry about, and so generally it's not our number one salesperson in that location. We really look at are they a people person? Are they going to get life and give life out of being a leader for that group? If not, and they're looking at it from like, well, I don't really want to knock doors any longer, and I want to be able to have less windshield time, and I want to be home more often. Like, that's not a good reason to be a sales manager, right? Like that. So there's a distinction: is are they going to be a good coach? Because that's what we need them to be, really, is a coach. Because a coach can problem solve. They can think on their feet. They can ask really, really good questions that are going to get the people to really think about what's going on. And instead of being like, well, this is what you need to do, it's helping them as the salesperson learn how to coach themselves, really. Like, because the last thing you want to be is, having seven sales guy report to a sales manager, and he's like, got two phones because he's getting blown up all the time. Well, you're probably not actually coaching those people effectively. You're coaching them to yourself, which I've had, tendencies of doing, of very much being like, well, I want to be the guy. I want to be the answer guy. I want to be the, the one that everyone wants to come to. Well, if you want that and you do want to not work the 80 to 100 hour weeks that we used to work, you can't have both. Let me tell you that right now. You can't have both. It doesn't work that way. And so making sure that, they are a coach at heart, first and foremost, like that they actually have the betterment of that individual more so than even their own personal betterment and, what they need and or want in their life. That's like one of the most key things for us.
Yeah, I think one of the challenging misconceptions, in my opinion, around sales managers is oftentimes in roofing companies or home services companies, there's a sales guy who's doing really, really well.
Yep.
And he wants a promotion to make more. And so he wants to be a sales manager. And I personally don't think that that's really the route shouldn't really work that way. In your company, if you're a sales driven company, your most effective salesperson is probably always going to be your highest paid person. Probably outside of being an owner. But when I worked in the company, I had a job with a salary. I might have made money also as an owner, but they still made more money than I did on salary for sure. And so a sales manager to me isn't a step. It isn't the next natural progression for a sales guy, because they don't always make more money than their sales team. And oftentimes they actually, if it's done well, they're choosing to step out of some of the pressure, out of some of the pressure of being an always on salesperson. And in roofing, which that might mean working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., they step out of some of that pressure and stabilize a little bit and kind of diversify their income stream, where they're at home a little bit more. They don't have to wake up quite as early. They're not at builds every day at like 6:30 in the morning or whatever it is. And so there's a trade-off, but it's not more money.
Right.
And it's not, it's not a promotion from being a sales guy, in my opinion. Do you get as much enjoyment from helping other people succeed as doing it yourself? Or do you maybe get more joy out of that?
Right.
Then sales manager might be a good role for you.
Yeah.
But you have to actually be a manager. You have to manage their time, manage their KPIs, check in on what they're doing, facilitate them to success, and hold them accountable when they're not taking the right sales activities. And the really good sales guy doesn't do any of that well. Naturally, from his sales process, those skills are not in that sales process. So just because they're a really good salesperson does not mean. And in fact, we found that sometimes the middle of the road or A-OK sales guy can really be a great sales manager.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's got the mind, or she has the mind for managing and measuring and checking back in and staying on top of everything and not letting things get too far out of the parameters that we've set. Yeah. Keeping people back, keeping people between the guardrails. It's just not the same thing, in my opinion. So it's misleading because of the way roofing and other companies, like other industries, have run, always promoting a sales guy to sales manager, and then almost even having the name sales guy and sales manager, or salesman and sales manager, seems like they're related. And honestly, in their day-to-day function, they're not super related. Yeah,
it's so good. Another plug for the program, if you are wanting to help people better be a sales manager, because people need training, especially if they never gone before. Sure. Unless you got 3 or 5 salespeople, you're the owner, you have one person you think would be a great sales manager, and you're not a great sales manager, and then they're going to be like the blind leading the blind, and it's not going to be as great. Sure. So if you need that type of training, make sure you go to roofwarrior.com, or sell with an S, sell on STG.com. And we could talk about like sales management training, sales management consulting, sales management coaching, to help give you that structure. And we can do a lot of that with you and for you if you guys partner it with us. Super, super helpful. And I love the way you guys have structured it with the Roof Warrior. So kind of wrapping up here, that we've covered a ton. You guys, if you guys are listening, make sure you connect with Heath and Ronnie on social. They're not trying to be influencers and blow up your feed, but they are available. They're always at the conventions. Especially Heath, because he runs a company called The Catch-All, which is great for branding, job site marketing. We love promoting it. Super great tool for residential roofers. I think there's a lot more we can cover, but maybe some final words, like what would you say differentiates the Roof Warrior program from other courses that we've done together? Yeah. What makes it so different that when we put it together, it's still super valuable? And then we can pretty much wrap up, unless you have some other final thoughts.
Yeah. So for me, in the first few years of AVCO taking off, we bought a lot of products from a lot of people. Basically, everyone that was available. Honestly,
really, I think personal to buy too, right? I don't know if you heard.
Totally. I think I bought every program that was out there, and outside of like the personal coaching and mentorship I got from Jim Johnson when I paid for his product, that was like life changing for me. But it wasn't exactly what's in Roof Warrior. Is what we produce is different than what he produces. And the other programs we bought, when I bought all of those, I thought I was buying what we've made, which was just, how do you actually do this? Right. Yeah. What's the roadmap? What are the steps? What are the measurables? Yeah. What's the plan? What's the recipe? And I really didn't get that anywhere. And when you approached me in the beginning, like, hey, let's make a product, I was like, I'm not going to make a product. I actually said no for a while. And then I said, I'm not going to make a product unless it can be the product that I wanted, that I thought I was buying, which is, how do these other successful people, what exactly did they do, or are they doing now to be successful in roofing? How are they recruiting? How are they hiring? How are they training? What are they teaching? How many salespeople do they have? How many salespeople, like how much should a salesperson really sell? Those kind of numbers and those kind of metrics. I didn't find any of those things in any other programs. They were like, here's how to do a pitch, maybe here's how to pitch roofing, but it wasn't comprehensive enough to really help me grow my company.
Yeah.
And so when we created this product, Ronnie and I decided that we would show people what we've actually done. And some of it's how we started and how we've grown and why we grew from doing this to now we do this. We talk about that too, so that you don't have to make all the mistakes in between, step 1 and step 3. You can just skip some of that because you kind of hear how we got there. And then, our entire sales training process is written on paper and you get it. You get to read the entire process. You can hand it to your sales guys. It's actually what we do at this company today. And, there's really nobody else out there that offers anything like that. So,
yeah, so good.
Yeah, I mean, we're running a profitable roofing company today. Like we've got meetings today with different folks that are running our roofing company right now. So that's quite a bit different than most of the other offerings, to my knowledge, that are out there in the market. These are generally nothing wrong with those, by the way. It's just ours is different because we are currently doing this just like you are right now, as an owner, as a sales leader, an executive, whatever your position is in the company. Like we're doing all of these things in real time as well. And so, we also have updated the course. We've added new things because as we've, initially launched it, 3 years ago, like we've made changes. And so we want to, kind of keep up to date with, as things are changing. So that's the other thing that I think makes us quite a bit different than most of the other offerings that are out there.
Yeah, so good. It's awesome. We could have talked. There's a bunch more things. We'll talk about personal growth and family and parenting and other details, other things in the industry that you're seeing, other vendors that you love, trends. But I think we have to cut this one short.
sure.
So
No worries.
come back again. Yeah, we'll have to do it again. This is great. Any final words for our friends? And just check us out.
Man,
He made it this far. Thank you.
yeah. If you would like somebody to come alongside you and help you be successful, hit us up. That's what we exist for. That's what we like doing.
Yeah, we get a lot of gratitude, and we get a lot out of doing this alongside other people. That's why we enjoy partnering with folks to help in those opportunities.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Okay, cool. Well, if you guys like this, share it in the comments and share it with your friends and like us and subscribe, all that stuff on the YouTube channel. And yeah, appreciate you guys, and I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.